Hello and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I'm your host Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura. We are a small team of experienced paranormal investigators, and here we discuss different locations that we've investigated, along with a little history and the paranormal evidence we found. Today we're going to resume our conversation on Hinsdale House in Hinsdale, New York. I'm going to preface by saying we finished the last one by resetting ourselves and getting ready to go inside the house, but after some discussion, we decided that we're going to kind of list off because this place gets very weird. There's so much that's happening there. Your head literally spins just with everything that's happening on the property, inside the house, outside the house. I mean, everywhere that you can see, this is crazy. So we're going to list off just a few things. We've already talked about the Pudgewiddy and, the kind of stuff that he can do. There's the Indians in the woods. There is, when inside the house, there's stuff happening. Jackie's already in the last episode mentioned the shadow that was over top of Laura and I, that came from downstairs. There was so much paranormal activity with the Dandy family. Jackie, this is actually where you came up with the idea for a piece of equipment that you and Tech Jeff built.
Yes.
And it's, we titled it the Dandy. This place has, let's see, what else did we end up finding there? We have there's a lesser demon that we found.
There's a god.
There's a god there, Native American god. If we would be.
Remember the woman in the lake? I don't know. I think she might have appeared to you.
She appeared to me. Yep. Yeah. Minions. We've talked about them in other podcasts. They were there. We had some there.
On my favorite, the German guy in the attic with the bloody axe.
Yeah.
Or in the closet, I'm sorry, with the bloody axe.
We do have, there's a bunch of things that talk to you there. Even down to weird smells. And people are going to probably at this point call 911, like Jackie said on the last episode. A werewolf that did not talk to us. And at that point, you just kind of looked at it and said, we're just going to walk away. Am I missing anything? There's more stuff on this property, I know, but
even that baby carriage thing upstairs got some sort of attachment.
Yeah, and I actually saw it move. And when I touched it, word of warning, okay? If you're in a haunted house, don't touch shit because you might not like what you get off.
Well,
of.
Jackie doesn't learn because she did the same thing at Whispers.
And then she wants you to touch it.
I did. I
did this. Touch that.
I did the same thing at Fairfield.
Yes.
And I finally did touch it just so that she wouldn't make fun of me later in the future.
I know because, and I tell Laura to touch it because I can talk her into it.
So we're going to be talking about some very odd things. Where we left you was we were getting ready to go inside the house. We did end up going to the basement. Now, Jackie had, she had a lot of things that happened to her during dreams or visions or anything else that she had before going there. And one of the things is that only two of us was allowed to be downstairs at a time. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Actually, what it said was 3 of us are in the basement. Nobody's coming out.
Yeah. So when we first went down there, Laura had elected to stay on the stairs, kind of toward the top of the stairs. Me and Jackie, you and I went down, and we were just kind of doing an investigation. Didn't seem very crazy at the time. And then we ended up making contact with what we thought at that point was a girl.
She was lost.
She was lost. She wanted to go home. So Laura piqued her interest. She wanted to help too. So Laura and I we switched spots. She still came down to the bottom of the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
I was just up above you on the stairs.
Yeah,
Jackie,
I didn't actually step on the dirt basement floor until you were off of it.
Yeah. And I kind of stayed, toward the top. And as we were all talking to this supposed little girl, that's when I think it was both of you, both went, hold on, something's not right. Something's not right here.
Actually, Laura said it first, and I didn't hear her because I was intent upon the spirit. Or maybe she didn't say it out loud, but she said, it's a demon. I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Now,
In my head, I definitely said it. I don't know if it came out of my mouth, but I definitely said it in my head. It was like, well, maybe I can try and help her, And so I guess you kind of open yourself to try to help the communication to see what we can do to help her. And that's when it felt like something just, ugh,
well, at that point, I
like
can even remember you
went through
saying,
my
"I
mind.
saw its face.
Mm.
I saw its face," and you were like disgusted almost, and I had to go down the stairs because I wanted to be involved in that point because I'm like, what, huh, what,
Yes.
type of thing.
Josh is fearless. He runs towards demons.
I do. And we use it, us as a group. We don't use the D word a whole lot. But this being it's a demon, more of a lesser demon, but it's still a demon. Laura then runs up the stairs, and this is where we still make fun of her to this day, asking where the door was. However, she was leaned against it.
And all she had to do was push it to get out, but she couldn't get out.
I'm telling you just weren't able to feel it or see it.
Oh,
But
well, actually,
Jackie
after
did.
a while, yeah. And I saw different people have different views. What I saw was like a burned man with blackened flesh, tendons, ligaments, and an elongated face and stuff. Not a pleasant sight.
No. But then that's when Jackie said, it's time to get out of here. You, talking to the spirit, the lesser demon at that point, you must stay. We were not going to help you. Because what it wanted to do was try to free itself. It wanted more full reign up on the property itself, wherever the heck it wanted to go at that point. And in order to do that, it needed one of us to help it. So we ended up deciding we're done in the basement. We're not going to the basement anymore. We're not even going to entertain the idea of going back down to the basement to talk to this thing some more. So at that point, we just kind of closed it up and said, we're done with that. Now, next, what would you guys like to talk about in order to help people understand? What would be the next thing you'd like to talk about?
I think we went up to the third floor, and I think Laura had some pretty good experiences up there in, is it Mary's old room?
Laura's old room, because it was
Laura's old room.
Laura, yeah.
Mary was downstairs.
Yeah, Mary was downstairs. Okay. So we went up there. Now they kind of paint a picture of the house. When you walk up the top of the stairs, there's a room directly to your right-hand side at the top of the stairs. That is where the baby carriage is at. A little small room.
Let's not talk about the baby carriage.
Yeah. On the left-hand side, it's a large kind of open room. There is a closet at the end. And then there's two rooms, like actual sleeping rooms in there. One of them was Laura's room. The other one, I can't remember the other child's name.
Me neither. Yeah.
So was in that room. Then, like I said, kind of have the open grand room. But you, Jackie, were fixated on that closet because that's where the man was.
The man with the bloody axe.
Yeah.
Yeah. German. He's German.
German man with a bloody axe. Laura, you were fixated on Laura's room.
I was. I don't know if well, probably just because it was Laura's room. I did. I spent a lot of time sitting in there on that bed, and things knock on walls in there. Mm-hmm. You'll feel like air movement when it's not coming out of vent. There was no windows open.
Yeah, there's not even any vents, I don't think, upstairs in that.
There is a vent because it's like a vent in the floor, and when you're downstairs, you can hear people upstairs.
That's right. Yep. So, I mean, the whole entire feeling, and like we said, we've said this about the property and the house probably many times already, but the feeling inside that room is just heavy the whole entire time. Like, for some reason, I can remember sitting in the middle of that larger room. And while I was watching the closet and I was watching Laura in Laura's room, for some reason, my eye kept getting drawn to across the stairwell to that other little room where the baby carriage and stuff was at. And I've, for some reason, just wanted to stare into that room. I don't know why. I wanted to, and I did an EVP session, didn't get anything out of it inside there. You couldn't really walk in that room. It was very small.
Right.
But my eye just kept like, I would look around. Next thing I know, I'd just find myself staring at that room. I don't know why it was just that one room for me in particular, just staring at it. I mean, what was your all's overall feelings of up there?
Um, I never get anything out of Laura's room, but that kind of makes sense, I guess. The baby carriage in the room that you were fixated on, it was the baby carriage. And I would look at the baby carriage and I would see it move, like something inside it, little babies shaking it and stuff, while the carriage would move.
Yeah.
And to let you know, this is an old carriage. Like it's an antique
Right.
piece. I don't know that it was originally with the house. I don't see that.
No,
it is.
she did.
So
say
we
it
have
has
no
nothing
idea what the
to-
history on it would be.
Yeah.
So that attachment has been brought there from wherever it came from.
Yeah. And I don't know what it was about just the room or if it was the carriage that I was fixated on for some reason. I just remember staring at that and just staring at that room and then finding myself staring at the room going, okay, hold on. I need to focus someplace else around here. I don't know why I'm so fixated over there. So then I would try to go into Laura's room with you or try to go into the closet, try to get the German man. I wasn't really feeling anything off of the German Axeman. And then for some reason, just find myself then staring at that room again. I was like, okay, what is going on with this? And could never really get down to the bottom of it. For me, I would love to go back to Hinsdale House, but for me right now at this point, it's one of those unanswered questions that I have about Hinsdale House. One of the many unanswered questions I have about Hinsdale House is that one little room.
I think it's Beth. Beth was her name. Beth's room.
Okay. So
There's a lot of fear trapped up there too.
yeah.
So that I think plays into some of the feelings you're having. It's not necessarily just from the family. I mean, I feel like almost everybody that has had anything to do with that house all throughout time, they've all experienced fear from something.
Well, and I know the Dandies, when they lived there, they had a priest come in and bless the house. But didn't they do that because, wasn't Laura?
They did an exorcism on her,
I was
didn't
about to
they?
say,
No, the exorcism, and they did talk to Claire and Father Alfonso. An exorcism is done on a person. A house cleansing is done on the house. And both the father and Claire said it wasn't an exorcism. It was a house cleansing.
Okay.
So, but didn't they feel that stuff was happening in Laura's room? Because, like, they would all of a sudden have flies in that room that were just completely, like, no other place in the house.
Well, actually, they had taken out a huge nest of honeybees up in, like, where Laura's bed is, underneath in the rafters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
These bees had found a hole and they got in, and they had to take, it was almost the entire room was a hive, not the room, but the floor was a hive of honeybees.
Okay.
And the bees keep coming back.
Gotcha. So, I mean, so somebody might have said it was flies, but it was actually bees that it was finding.
Well, they might
inside
have
there getting
flies.
trapped.
You're right. The one show showed a lot of flies
Yeah.
were dead in that room.
So, I mean, and if you want to actually see what the Hinsdale House looked like, you can go online. There is so much stuff on the Hinsdale House. It's crazy. Again, you saw it on Paranormal Lockdown, Jackie. I've seen it on there. I think it's been on almost every single major show.
Well, go to YouTube and put in Hinsdale House. You're going to find a lot of people who've investigated and filmed there.
Yeah. And a lot of them are finding the exact same stuff that we were finding that night. I mean, they see and hear and a lot of weird stuff. A lot of people focus on the house itself. I mean, I just saw on something online where somebody was, there and they stayed in the living room for like hours.
If I had to pick, if they said you can do it, but you can only investigate the house or you can only investigate the property, I would choose the property.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of people do the actual property itself. I'm a huge fan of doing the property of a place that we're investigating anyways. If we can do the property, we're going to.
Well, what's been there longer, the house or the dirt outside?
Yeah. So, upstairs on the upper floor of the Hinsdale House was pretty cool. You got some really crazy stuff. You saw some weird stuff. Shadows, a lot of shadows in this place. But I believe at this point we decided, okay, we're going to take a quick break. And Jackie, if I'm not mistaken, you said it's time. We got to go back outside.
Yeah, I had gathered my courage and figured I'd lived a good life, and Josh knew where the keys were. We had to go find the God.
Well, and that was your one big thing coming into Hinsdale House, because last time, I think it was the time before this time that we had gone, you had ran into it.
Yes.
And
It ran into me. We were out in the Indian meadow, and I felt something coming through the woods. When I went down, it happened all at once. A huge, like, skull, like a head floating in the air. And I heard somebody scream. Actually, I can't remember what. It's the hag. And huge skull floating in the air. And then this gorgeous purple gossamer dress. And I'm not a fashion person, but I still remember this dress. It was very gorgeous, even though this huge hag was coming to kill me. So
yeah. And that was one of your main reasons for wanting to go back. You had to come at this head on.
it was to the point it terrified me. I learned ghost hunting has taught me you can be afraid, but that is way different than being terrified. And I was terrified. And it was down to the point where, am I going to stop? Because now I'm letting fear control me. Or am I going to go back to Hinsdale? And there's also a bit of a compulsion with me in Hinsdale.
Yeah. So at this point, we decided to go back outside. We kind of rejuvenated a little bit and said it's time. At that point, we decided we were going to basically be there for me and Laura. When I say we, we're going to be there for Jackie to try to help support, try to help do whatever we need to help her through this, make sure she didn't die. And if she did, I can grab the keys real quick.
Yeah. He was really after the keys.
I was after the keys. But do you guys want to explain what all went on next? Or do you think there's a way to?
Well, making it short, we had gone to the property, we had gone to the pond, and we went to the pond, and it felt dead. So we turned around and we're heading back to the house. And I think I knew it was there, but I didn't say a word. And Laura said, "There's something over there," and I said, "We have to go there." We stopped, and we watched it, and it was beautiful, black shadows, huge, many of them, and then little pinpoints of light, like
Thousands.
little fairies.
Thousands.
Yeah.
And it went on, and this wasn't like a 30-second thing, it just went on. Like, that's just what happens there.
It was minutes that it seemed like of just watching this.
And these lights are coming from the area of these trees that we talked about last week.
Yeah. And
It was in the tree line, and Laura, she's a smart one of the group here. She's terrified. And I'm like, I have to go over there. This is what I came for. This is my defining moment. Am I going to run and give it up, or am I going to confront it and die? So, like I say, she's a smart one. I went to confront it. They came with me. Laura kept grabbing my hand because she's terrified. I felt bad, but I had to shake her off. I said, "Don't. I am terrified. Don't touch me. I don't want you," because she's kind of empathic. "I don't want you picking that up off me."
I was already terrified. I don't think it could get any scarier.
We went further, and at one point I told them, "You two stay here." And I continued on because I needed to talk to this thing. I needed to know what it was, what its intentions were. And I didn't realize that because I was asking the questions out loud, and I was getting answers, and I assumed we were all getting answers. But they weren't. And I heard them back there at one point. I think you called my name, maybe?
Well, we had something totally different happening to us while you had that going on with you. Because Laura said, "What is coming?" And it was, how did you explain it?
Well, so for where we were standing, it was like it was coming from like up and to the left. But it sounded like if you could imagine, tons of leaves raked up and a whole mass of people like running down a hill through them. Like you could just hear it coming, like almost like trees and everything are being turned. Like it was loud and it sounded huge. Because at first I was like, oh, that's probably like deer or something. But then I'm like, I'm from the country. I know what all animals sound like. That ain't what animals sound like.
Well, and at this point, we're keeping an eye on Jackie. Jackie is confronting, what she needs to confront. Laura and I are standing back to back, trying to figure out what the heck is coming toward us. We're trying to figure it out. I remember I don't get scared easy. You can ask Laura. I just don't get that one. I can remember my heart pounding, going, "Oh man, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it out of here." For some reason, Jackie, you and I have actually talked about it. We knew that you might not make it out. At that point, I felt like I might not make it out, but for some reason, Laura was going to be totally fine.
Laura was fine. We could probably put her anywhere, do anything.
But I will tell you, like,
she was fine.
When we were standing there back to back, I was terrified, but I slammed down everything I had.
Yeah.
I'm talking like a bubble around myself, a bubble around my heart, a bubble around my own head. Like everything I had, that's where every ounce of my concentration was putting something between me and whatever was coming up that hill. And Jackie was, she was 20 yards in front of us and, over halfway closer to it than we were.
She never heard it.
Well, and I wasn't, what I was confronting, and I call it a God because it could kill me and not even know it killed me. The first time I met it, it just squeezed my heart. It was like painful and stuff. I had to go in the house just to get a break from it and things. So that's why I call it a God. If something can kill you and not even know it, then it's a God to me and stuff. I was dealing with that power. That power was all consuming, and anything coming from behind it wasn't going to get past it.
And I really think whatever was behind it was only so that that's where our focus was, because whatever was going on with that was for you only. I mean, we had never been there. So this was a trip about Jackie doing what Jackie needed to do. And I think it really didn't want us to be a part of it. And so it just
distracted us.
Gave us a different thing to play with.
That could be because I really don't. I was asking questions. I wanted to know what this was, and it could not answer me. It wasn't sure what it was. It had been here a long time. I asked it what it thought about us, and I got about what? Think about what? I said, well, that's humans. What do you think about them? And it gave me, I don't think about it. So I asked it straight out. I said, do you have any feelings at all for humans? And it answered me audibly. I heard it in my ears, and I thought you two heard it, and I picked it up on the recorder. And its answer was no. It has no feelings for us at all.
Which, like I said, I mean, we never heard that. We were dealing with whatever else. You know, when Laura was talking about, it sounds like things. Was there a wind that night? No. There was no wind. It was actually a nice, mild night. Light jacket is all you really needed. But there was no wind happening that night. So there was nothing blowing anything.
These sounds were not, it wasn't, 360 degrees. It was a direct line.
And it was audible, almost walking, running. It was weird. Kind of freaked you out a little bit. And at that point, like I said, I was scared. I was not sure what to do. But then it just all of a sudden stopped. Everything stopped. And when I say it was sudden, just kind of dropped. And Laura kind of said, what's going on now? Next thing I know, Jackie's turned around, walking over to us, and she's like, did you hear that? And we're like, no. we this is what we heard. And then you told us about that. Then that's when we get into the little pond that was next, because all of a sudden things start ramping up, and I don't know if it was the energy that what you considered a god left.
I'm sure it was part of our energy too. I mean, paranormal can feed off of us, and we were so at the height of the night at that point that we were probably putting off some serious energy.
And I think the God left. When he leaves, it's a big sigh of relief. So the rest of it can come out. The next layer.
Yeah. Which is where we get to the woman in white that was actually in the pond. She only showed to me. We were trying to wrap our heads around what had just happened, and then all of a sudden I see this. I don't remember a whole lot about it. We started asking, questions, trying to get EVPs. Somehow I ended up on the other side of the pond.
That's because he walked away from Laura and I, even though I told him, this thing is going to come after you and it wants to lure you into the pond and drown you. Please stick with us.
Yeah.
Off he goes.
Yep.
Well, and I think because of that, you guys sent me off the other way.
And it's dark out there. When I say it's dark, I mean
Yeah,
it
there's no
is
light.
dark.
Yeah, there's no light. You guys sent me off the other way, and I think that's how I ended up being inside the house by myself.
Yeah.
And you guys were still outside trying to figure out what exactly was going on, trying to get answers. And next thing I know, I'm in the living room sitting there going, I guess I should investigate something. And then I think that's when you realized, Jackie, oh crap, he's in the house by himself. This was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, well, at the pond. Oh, that's right. There was something on the bridge. They make it a nice little bridge and a little dock and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of us saw something on the bridge. So we went off on the bridge and we didn't realize that Josh had just kept on going to the house.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of clanking on that wood out there. I still don't know what it was.
Yeah. Well, while you guys were doing that, I can remember being inside the house. I had recorder. I'm asking questions. I got some EVPs off of that. However, they were not happy that I was inside the house at that point. I said I was in the living room. I kept having something come out. In the living room, it's a longer style living room, but then there's like a little cove off to the side. I guess you can consider a den that's kind of attached to it. It's
Almost
kind of
makes
weird.
it an L shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but when the Dandies lived there, that was a bedroom because they had 4 children.
Yeah. So back in that area, I kept having something, and I would go back and check it out. There'd be nothing there. I go back, sit back on the chair, and or on the couch, and next thing I know, it's peeking out from behind the chair, trying to get answers, not getting anything. Next thing I know, I hear Jackie yelling for me. I think that's when she realized I was inside the house, and I thought she was going. I thought I wasn't going to survive the night because I thought she was going to kill me for being inside the house by myself.
Well, I had to celebrate. I was still alive, so
So yeah, by killing somebody else. So I mean, the thing is a lot of that. Honestly, I don't remember actually going into the house by myself. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you guys had sent me to go sit around the fire,
yes, we did.
and I didn't. I went in.
Shocking.
And everybody's got to push their boundaries, and I'm pretty sure that night I was pushing my boundaries kind of everywhere.
Hinsdale might not be the place to do that, just for use listening.
Well,
We can't. I did yell at you because you gave me a heart attack,
mhm.
but I can't yell at you because that is what makes a ghost hunter. If you're just going out to a scary house, scares that are coming at you, that is not ghost hunting. It is doing the things that terrify you, that tell you run the other way and go in there. It is doing things like everybody tells me I should stay with the group, don't go in the house, but it is going in the house as long as you go in smart.
Well, and I think that day, because before we would decide to go even into the house, after we had been kind of doing all of our stuff outside, we had to walk off the property and kind of regroup. We had said to ourselves, okay, nobody goes anywhere alone at this point because we don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, they were mad at me for that. I honestly, if you want the honest God truth, I don't remember walking into the house. I just remember sitting in the living room going, oh man, I don't think I'm supposed to be in here. But I'm already in here doing my stuff, so I might as well. And just kind of kept going until I heard you guys, shouting for me. And I think you guys were looking for me, and I finally came outside the house, and we were like, okay, well, I think at that time we decided we were all tired. I mean, we were just...
Yeah, it's exhausting. It really is. And I mean, and it was like you were at the height of it for hours.
Yeah, we kept going.
Most
and,
of the time, ghost hunts are 90% of the time, you're just waiting.
Yeah.
You're just waiting. Nobody's talking. You're just waiting. Here, you're like, damn, I need a minute.
Which is true. So, I mean, with all of that, the place is an amazing place to investigate. I would only recommend somebody who's been doing it for a while and can kind of understand what they're dealing with, because literally, Laura, you were very a young investigator. I was still a young investigator. I'd done some investigations up to this point. Jackie, you were a seasoned investigator, but still afraid of this place. And then finding something like a lesser demon in the basement, messing with it, not understanding what exactly we were messing with until finally somebody picked up on it. If you're not a seasoned investigator, you could technically release a lesser demon into the world, or even on yourself, and that's not something that you want to do. I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
I always felt that Hinsdale goes after. I've taken Donna there, taken Laura there. Laura, for some reason, has some weird protection. I don't worry about her too much. And Donna said the same thing. She said she doesn't sleep in Hinsdale House. It is a dangerous house. But I think it goes after the people. The more psychic ability you have, the more you will come under attack. And I don't want to say don't go to Hinsdale unless you're seasoned, but what I do want to say is don't go to any house if you think it's haunted without protection, without knowing what could happen with the living and with the dead. So I wouldn't tell anybody not to go to Hinsdale, but you might come home with a lesson in learning how terrified you can be.
And keep in mind that when you're sleeping, your guards are down. So you have to kind of plan for that as well.
I mean,
whether you're wearing it or...
Yeah. I mean, you and I had a large shadow standing over top of us, and we didn't even know. Jackie was the one who saw it and said, I don't know what it was trying to do or who it was trying to get to, but it was literally because you were sleeping. You actually slept on the couch, and I slept on a cot right next to the couch because you were scared and
terrified. Yeah.
You didn't want any space between us.
Oh, he was your shield.
I was the shield. So
ghost bait.
Was he trying to get to you? Don't know, but he was standing over top of me. So it could have been for me, for you, for both. Didn't know, but Jackie, I guess she was wanting to watch it kill us or whatever by going to the window.
Well, I walked in. I saw it come down the stairs, or maybe out of the bathroom. It stopped. It looked at me, and then it went in, and I couldn't see it. When I got up, I wanted to see where it was going. When I got there, I thought, well, what the hell can I do?
Yeah.
You want me to punch it? It's a shadow, and it's a demon. So I thought I'll just casually walk like I'm just looking out the window,
Yeah.
And it went away.
I mean, so something like that, when you're sleeping, make sure you're protected somehow, some way, in order to make sure nothing's happening to you. Especially if you're going to spend a night in a place like a Hinsdale or other places that we have spent the night.
That is one thing I would recommend. Don't spend the night at Hinsdale. When you're done investigating and you're tired, go off property.
Yeah. I mean, because we, Monroe House.
Yeah, we're stupid.
Yeah.
So don't necessarily do what we do.
No. We're not stupid. We're crazy.
We're badasses, but crazy.
I like those words better.
But stupid.
I mean, any last words about everything that we've talked about to this point?
I have a funny little story. My grandmother's dead. She's been dead a long time. She was kind of a forceful woman. I come from German heritage. My last trip to Hinsdale with these two, my grandmother kept coming to me. I wasn't dreaming. I was awake. She would come to me, and she's talking to me, and I can't hear her. And I'm like, Grandma, I can't hear you. She did this 3 times, and finally I said, Grandma, I can't hear you. Write it down. She got up, stormed out of the room, called me a dumbass, and then left. I don't know why she wanted me, but this was right before Hinsdale. And after I did Hinsdale, she's never contacted me again. There was something she wanted to tell me about Hinsdale, and I never got it.
I mean, Hinsdale to me is amazing. I would love to go back. and probably go about things, and having the experience that I have now, probably work some more things out, probably talk a different way, probably do things a little bit differently now.
Put out several candies for the Pudge.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely make a stop by Grandpa's Cheese Barn because he ate a lot of our dried strawberries. We had to stop and get some more on the way back home.
The things we do for the spirits.
But we, it was a very crazy overall, amazing adventure on this paranormal hunt. But I also have to say, I know people are going to have questions, and we're okay with that. You can contact us.
Bring them on.
Bring them on. People that listen to us, that know us, and everything else. You ask us up front, we can answer it. But these are questions that other people might have and don't know how to ask that question. So email us, message us on Facebook, anything like that, and we will be happy to answer, and we might even put your question on another podcast.
Or if you've been to the Hinsdale House and had any experiences similar to ours, let us know, because a lot of times even ghost hunters aren't putting this experience out because it's just too crazy to be believed.
Well, when you get to those shows, the shows are only going to show what they think is going to get them views. If they come across as far as, some of those shows like, oh man, there's, an Indian god that's trying to kill me. They're not going to put that on television because people are going to be like, oh man, this guy's just crazy. We're okay with the crazy. We don't care if people think we're crazy. At the same time, we know what we saw, we know what we felt, and we're just going to tell you how it is, really, on how we felt about it. So please, let us know anything that you can. Any last words?
Just a quick reference. Yes, for those of you who have been there and are saying to yourself, what about crawlers? Didn't they see crawlers? Yes, we did.
Those are minions. That's what we consider minions. And then, yeah.
I call them minions.
Yeah.
Well, we've already thought of several things we didn't mention. So hopefully some people will ask us some questions and we'll find a way to build the things that we just didn't have time for.
All right. Well, with all of that, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. We have been your hosts, Josh,
Laura,
and Jackie.
And until next time, you can find information and contact us on our website at notjustghoststories.com and see evidence that we've discussed on Facebook at Not Just Ghost Stories. Thanks.